All right, let's talk about something that I think we all feel these days. In an age where you can look up anything, anytime, it is so easy to feel like you're just drowning in information. Today, we're going to dig into the huge difference between just randomly learning stuff and having a real structured methodology. We'll draw on some timeless wisdom to find a much better way forward. Have you ever had that feeling? You're watching videos, you're reading books, you're scrolling through articles, you're consuming so much content, but you don't feel like you're actually getting anywhere. You kind of jump from one shiny new topic to the next, and you just end up feeling overwhelmed, maybe even a little lost. If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. I mean, we live in such an incredible time. We have the world's greatest libraries right in our pockets. But, and this is a big but, this blessing has a flip side. For anyone trying to learn on their own, this explosion of information has created a brand new problem, what you could call knowledge chaos. It's the strange state where getting more information actually leads to more confusion, not more clarity. So how do you even know if you're caught up in this chaos? Well, it turns out there are some really clear warning signs. Let's walk through the most common symptoms and see if we can diagnose the problem together. And you can probably see how these signs feed into each other, right? It's a vicious cycle. You start a book, but you never finish it. That leads to years of what feels like study, but without any real mastery. And of course, that lack of progress just makes you feel tired and kills your motivation. Pretty soon, all your scattered reading is just creating more questions than answers, and you're left without a solid foundation, which makes you easily swayed by totally opposite views. So just take a second here. Think about your own journey with learning. Does this pattern resonate with you at all? Because just recognizing these signs is the absolute first step toward finding a better path. And this isn't just about being inefficient. The stakes are actually much, much higher. So, why does this matter so much? Well, a chaotic approach to learning isn't just frustrating. It actually comes with some real intellectual and, believe it or not, even spiritual risks that can do genuine harm. In fact, this source material for this whole explainer points to 8 distinct dangers that pop up from this chaotic path. Now, we're not going to go through all 8, but let's really focus on some of the most critical ones. The most obvious cost, of course, is just wasted time, but the dangers go so much deeper. You end up more susceptible to doubts because you don't have an intellectual anchor. You start misunderstanding texts because you lack the proper context, and you might even lose respect for people with genuine expertise. But honestly, the most dangerous of all is something called the illusion of knowledge. This right here is the crucial point. The illusion of knowledge. It's when you've gathered just enough scattered facts to feel confident, but you lack the deep understanding to actually connect them properly. And this false confidence, it can lead you to speak on really important matters, especially matters of faith, without having any real foundation to stand on. This whole concept is taken incredibly seriously in the Islamic tradition. This verse from the Quran actually puts speaking about God without knowledge right up there with the most serious of sins. It's a powerful reminder that knowledge, especially sacred knowledge, comes with a profound responsibility. It's not a game. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem and we've seen just how serious the dangers are. But the good news is, there is a powerful antidote to all this chaos. It's time to explore the solution. The path of methodology. Now, a methodology isn't about being rigid or boring, not at all. It's about being smart. Think of it as a system, a set of guiding principles that transforms all your effort from just frantic motion into real forward momentum. It makes sure that every piece of information you learn actually has a place to go, building a stable, growing structure of understanding.
So, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, here are 4 foundational rules. First, you have to know your why. What is your ultimate goal? Second, you've got to build from the foundation up. As the famous scholar Imam al-Bukhari said, the wise start with the small knowledge before the great. Third, you have to choose a plan and then persist, commit to it. And finally, and this is so important, approach learning with humility and recognize that true insight is a gift.
This quote from the great scholar Imam al-Shatibi really gets to the heart of that first rule. The ultimate why, the ultimate goal for seeking sacred knowledge isn't about winning arguments or sounding smart. It's about drawing closer to God. And when your goal is worship and self-reform, it completely changes how you learn. The journey itself becomes an act of devotion. So what happens when you make this shift? When you decide to trade that chaos for a clear methodology? Well, the results are absolutely transformative. Let's take a look at the rewards. I mean, the contrast here is just so stark. The path of chaos, it leads to frustration, confusion, and that illusion of growth we talked about. You feel busy, but you're not actually being productive. But then you look at the path of methodology. That's where you find tangible progress, real clarity, and certainty. Every hour you invest is actually building something real and lasting. Your effort turns into genuine growth. Ultimately, that's what it's all about. Structure is what allows knowledge to ripen into real wisdom. A methodical approach gives you the framework to not just collect facts, but to connect them, to understand their deeper meaning, and to build an unshakable foundation of certainty in your faith and in your understanding of the world. Look, this journey from chaos to clarity, it doesn't happen overnight. We all know that. But it always starts with a single intentional step. Maybe for you, it's just sitting down and defining your why. Maybe it's finding one foundational book and promising yourself you'll stick with it. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what's your first step going to be?